The only thing the passage of this came down to was what the amount of that civil penalty was. The second item that surfaced itself later was the fact that the council did give me the authority to sign the interlocal agreement, which was done with the other jurisdictions. And without this in place, they're out of compliance. So that's the reason for the item coming back. In addition, I did pull a little piece out of Jurassic Parliament and go ahead and put this in as a blank to be filled. Other council discussion? Rod?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I disagree with the $1 a day. I think that we have to be reasonable about this. And even though the state has not set a specific dollar amount, $1 a day is just slapping them in the face. And I'm certainly not trying to get Olympia's attention down here over something that we're simply not going to, we haven't had to enforce. I don't want to draw that attention to us.
Point of information, I presume the rest of Clark County has pretty much passed a commute trip reduction plan that is pretty much the same everywhere. Where did they set their penalties?
There's different penalties with each jurisdiction. Most of them are close to $100, and then the penalty drops down there as the days go by on a day-to-day basis. So you have the original assessing statement per violation per day. Then you have the subsequent violations as well for each day that it's not complied with.
So those are not standard in a county-wide agreement?
No, that's left to each jurisdiction. What is agreed upon is the interlocal agreement, separate document.
Can you give me some examples of what some of the other jurisdictions have done?
I think when Jan Bowers and Matt Ransom attended, and I hate to speak on behalf of other jurisdictions, but they are close to $100 and then a step down subsequent penalty per day out of compliance. Specifically with other jurisdictions, I'd have to do some more research, but this does give the City of Washougal latitude for assessing that civil penalty locally.
So I'm not sure I understood. It's $100 per day for the first violation and then less for each subsequent violation?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Jennifer, you go.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that we're talking about the motion on the table is $1 per violation per day, and then the second amount would also be $1 per day for each violation for subsequent violations?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So there's two figures, and we're
Correct.
going to vote on them to keep them the same? Okay.
That's what the current motion is.
Mr. Mayor?
John?
Mind if I ask Trevor a few questions? Trevor, can you just, for the public's information and entertainment, can you share with them what it is the state is requiring any businesses, or even, let's even talk prospective businesses that may come in here to do to comply with this, and why this, just what they're being asked to do?
Yeah, and that was briefly discussed. We had a conference call in from a gentleman from Olympia where the program started in the Puget Sound area with higher volumes of traffic. So there's specific compliance when you hit that trigger of X amount of employees where you have to be to participate in a commute trip reduction plan. There was some dialogue and some requests, I believe, from Councilmember Shoemaker in regards to hard data, how they've tracked it, what type of results they've seen. I believe that was also distributed at least to Councilmember Shoemaker. Maybe that was across the board, but they have been tracking this. And to not take it out of context, obviously penalties for City of Vancouver or City of Camas are going to be different from Washougal just based on how many businesses are actually affected by this program. So currently we have one employer that's affected by it.
Sure.
And there is annual funding for this program that's not attached to stimulus since its inception as well.
And what are they being asked to do at their facility?
They do advertising or postings based on average daily trips, promoting carpooling, multimodal, bike riding, mass transit, those type of opportunities. A lot of it is volunteer at this point, depending on exactly where the employees are commuting from within Southwest Washington or even in Oregon on the other side of the river. So based on where your employees actually commute from and what the opportunities are to get to Pendleton Woolen Mills, is my understanding.
Does this mandate that any employer and any future employers that may come in would have to put bike racks on their property? Is that correct? Is that part of it?
That is correct. At this point, the bike racks are provided by CTR.
Okay. And showers as well? Is that part of it?
I'd have to check on showers to be sure. I know the bike rack is
Yeah, I
a
think I
is a
remember there being
requirement.
showers that had to be facilitated locker rooms for the employees.
Yes.
So, okay, and they're, okay,
They're in full compliance at this point, and I'm referencing Pendleton Woolen Mills.
sure,
Not
sure.
any other
And-
business
and-
throughout the
and
city.
believe me, when I understand that Pendleton says they have no problem with it, it's the future employers that come in that, you know, to hoist this upon them. I'd kind of like it to be easy on them, but thank you.
Well,
Yes, Mr. Evers, could you tell me how long this program has been in effect and funded by the state of Washington? 1990,
I think it was 1999 is what Jan referenced. I think they had over 10 years of data that they could pull from, how effective it's been in the Puget Sound area and then in Southwest Washington.
so I realize that the majority of the larger businesses are, you know, if you look statewide, they're going to be in the Puget Sound area. We only have one, and yet I believe that the intent is still legitimate, that the intent is to sort of offer alternative transportation modes to larger employers. And unusually, or strikingly, this is actually funded by the legislature every 2 years. So it is not an unfunded mandate. We have many of those, and this is not one of those. So I also believe that what we were told at a workshop was that of all of the participants in Clark County, there's really only been one that has been fined. Is that your recollection?
Yes, that's what Jan Bowers alluded to, the main
So-
contact.
So the intent
for
is not
CTR.
really to fine people who defy the law. It's to actually encourage people to, in a spirit of cooperation.
Yes, there's incentive, obviously. And it also, on page 12, it alludes to, in A, generally, no affected employer with an approved CTR program which has made a good faith effort may be held liable for failure to reach the applicable drive alone or VMT goal, which is part of the program. So showing a good faith effort is referenced inside of the document under penalties as well.
Molly, hang on. Molly, you're,
I defer to Councilman.
no, I'm not sure if Molly's done.
Well, I just find that I feel like the program is valid and